Hi, this is Jill Schoelen. I had such a great time on $2 late fee with Dustin.
Zach was absent that day.
Hey, I'm here too. For crying out loud. Jill,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, like, it's an honor to have you on our show.
Oh.
We're so
Gosh. that's
excited,
nice. Thank you.
and yeah,
It truly is. I mean, we'll get into this, but you were like pretty much in every movie that it felt that way anyway, from like 81 to 91.
I was in a lot, but I don't know. I wasn't in every one.
No, I think you were.
wish I
Let's pull it
were.
up. I think you were in every movie.
let's go down the list. No, I'm
Um,
kidding.
We have a pile here.
A pile, stack a few movies.
And
I
that's,
wanna talk about.
But
at least all of them.
it's so funny because, I hardly do any of those conventions. You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh, yeah.
conventions that are out there, the fan conventions.
Yep.
Normally for me, it's normally the horror ones, and I always feel like I'm the side person way over there. That when the people remember me, I will say I love the fans that they're faithful. They're
Yeah.
faithful fans.
Yeah.
But I should say, not to the fans, but to me, the but is that I feel like a lot of people, they don't remember me because I didn't have that iconic film like the
Breakfast Club or-
Nightmares and in the horror genre.
Oh, in the horror genre, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, the Nightmares, the Halloweens, the Fridays, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of those, or a Breakfast Club.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
came so close, but second place, nobody remembers you.
But that's such an interesting perception of your own career because, from our perception, it's like you are the lead in all of these like
I am.
amazingly cult classic movies. And you said you don't do a lot of conventions. Is that by design?
No, I don't get asked.
Oh,
I do.
really?
I'm very rarely asked
We're gonna
ever to
change
do
that.
one.
Yeah, I think
We're gonna change
this
all of
appearance
that.
is going to change all that because that's very confusing.
No, I would love
Yeah.
to do more. I must say, my favorite part about going out and doing the conventions are the fans.
Yeah.
I get all teary-eyed. It was like right now I have to not get teary-eyed. I'm very good at that.
Of getting teary eyed.
Of getting
Yes,
it's
yes,
a problem.
yes.
My mother.
It's a gift,
My
probably.
mother today was like, because I was telling her I'm shooting something new, and my mother, I said, "Yeah, I cried. I had to do. You cry so much yesterday because there was so much coverage."
Yeah.
And I said it was so high and it was so hard. And my mother goes, "Who are you kidding? You cry at a wing falling off a flea."
That's what you picture in the moment, just like wings falling off fleas, and you just can get
No.
crying.
You are such an empath,
Yeah.
then, huh? Would you say?
It's never bad to be an empath. It is never bad.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
However,
But
yeah.
side by side,
Yeah.
there are consequences to that
Yeah.
for your personal life because sometimes people can think you're crazy because everything is so there.
Yeah.
You feel
Yeah.
it so deeply.
Totally.
And everything it feels extreme.
Yeah.
But not to the person, in this case, we're talking about this person who often is an empath.
Jill Schoelen,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
But to me, it's not crazy. It feels quite normal because and I don't wear it. I try it on. It's there,
Yeah.
and then it's because it's so there. Then it so readily can be gone. I can be laughing.
That's good.
The next moment, which even makes you look crazier.
But in the acting world, not
Yeah.
because in the acting world, the fact that you have done so many intense films with heavy roles, and to be able to let that go when you're done with the project versus keeping it and going, man, this really stayed with me. You
Yeah.
know, that's a gift.
Yeah, it's important. It was funny with actor friends. Do you know Suzanne Snyder?
Of course we do. From
Who's,
Killer Clowns from Outer Space for
Yeah.
one, and Weird Science.
Susie Q. She's one of my. I call her like my sister. She's my sister in so many ways, and we studied with the same acting teacher for years.
Where was that?
His name was Gene Bua. He's
Okay.
passed away for some time now, but his name was Gene Bua, brilliant man who taught everyone how to be an empath. He just knew how to teach people to connect,
love that,
to
yeah.
whatever was going on with them. And if it was yours and it didn't belong to the character, he would say, well, you have to, it's there,
Yeah.
invite it to the
Yeah.
party and give it to your character and let it give that character the gift of whatever is going on with you. And somehow it finds its way,
Yeah.
down the river, and it all ends up flowing beautifully.
Right.
But Suzanne and I have had this conversation many, many times in the last years, that the one thing our teacher didn't teach us was, once you open that gate and you let all that stuff in, especially with certain characters and certain parts, it can get a little dark in there.
Yeah.
How do you shut it off?
And the importance of shutting it down, like afterwards, the same way an actor works himself and they open themselves up to it, they breathe, whatever they do, everyone has their own stuff, the way they get there. But it's a performance. It's like being an athlete. You better be ready to run,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so in that same way, I think it requires, for certain parts, that same level of discipline in shutting it down. It's like,
Yeah.
I need a moment. I'm going to regroup here, put myself, this is not that, thank you. Now it's time for you to go away. And now I'm back to being Jill.
Right.
And thank you. Thank you for gracing me. Like, sound like a crazy person.
No, you
again.
don't. Not at all.
But the character or another human being just in life,
Yeah.
that you're with. Thank you for gracing me with letting me into you, seeing who you are, feeling who you are. And thank you for that. And then to the self, but now I'm going to go back to me.
if that's crazy in your opinion, then you can lock us all up, because I think that's a really beautiful way of putting it. Sincerely,
Yeah.
I think it is, because that's a true gift that not everybody has, and to be able to be open to that world, it's a whole other story.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to, it doesn't always come easy. It's like everything else in life. We have bad days. Every
Yeah.
now and then you get a bad day. That day was like, what happened? I don't remember when I tripped getting out of the bed, but I must have.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I call it I whenever, especially because my son is 8, and he's going through a big transition right now with his school, and he has those moments that don't always work out for him. And I said, we all
Yes.
have those days, right?
Yes.
I write him a note every day. It's like positive motivation, and I've been doing it since he was in preschool.
Oh my.
It's over 1,000.
Speaking of insanity.
Yeah, so
speaking
you
of
want to talk
craziness,
crazy?
I'm going to say it's amazing.
1,100. No, listen, it is
What?
It is 1,100 notes.
No.
1,100 notes.
1,100
yeah.
notes.
Okay, crazy.
He's never missed a day.
Nope. And they're like pretty wild.
He was sick, and they're like epic drawings of these worlds. He's bringing in 80s characters, contemporary characters. Now there's a whole storyline. But the fact that like Zach will never miss it. So like if he's sick, he has got like COVID. He's like, I gotta write the note. And it's like, and I, to me. And I can see you're getting.
I am.
You've let it in. You've let it in. You've
That's
let it in.
amazing.
So yeah. So I have to have this balance of empathy where it's like I have to balance it off with a lot of cynicism, because otherwise it would be like that. It would just be like you can't. It'd be hard to function. But
I can't believe you do that.
Well,
Yes.
I, as a teacher, it was something that I wanted to do for my kids. And then when my son was born, obviously you have kids and that first day they go off to preschool or whatever, and you're saying goodbye for the day, whether it's 4 hours or 6, it can be really challenging for a parent. So
Yes.
what could I do to stay connected to him? And I would make him these little notes, and they got more and more over the top and more animated and more
I
colorful,
love
to the
that.
point where now, I've made 1,100 notes, and
He must have responded.
he loved them.
Yeah,
Loves
it had to. It makes it. What a gift.
Yeah, he
My
said-
God.
But even if he hadn't responded, Zach would still be doing. Like even if he was like,
Yeah, it's true.
even if he was like, cool, Dad, thanks. You'd be like, all right,
I'll keep at
Like
this.
they would
It's
still,
gonna-
yeah.
Well, because what I'm finding now, because I put them on social media, I find
Yeah.
that it's people are responding to them as well, outside of my son, and going, "Thank you for those words of motivation." My dad, checks Facebook occasionally, and it pops up, and he goes, "I read your note today." He goes, "I really needed that. I really
the
needed that boost."
psychological connections are forming.
And then I said, "That's maybe the whole."
This
point
is
of
what you
this."
never gave me, Dad. Don't you see? Don't you see? If you had given me this, and then right, and then the healing can begin.
Oh,
When
it's
Dad says, that's the
Are you being
fascinating.
serious? Because I like that.
I'm 100% being
Okay,
serious.
okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't, because you're very funny.
No, right. No,
He
you don't
is.
know if I'm being sarcastic or
his-
not.
yeah.
But no, I'm 100% being serious that not to turn this into a psychological analysis of Zach.
do.
But,
We're
but he didn't get that from his dad. So, right? So now
Yeah.
he gives that
Yeah.
to his son.
I think that is so.
And
this is a
but-
kumbaya moment.
It is. Let's all hold
but
hands.
now,
No, that's wonderful.
but his dad has gotten in touch with those parts of himself
Yeah.
that weren't there
Yeah.
when Zach needed them the most. But
true.
now he's got them. So yes.
Yeah.
So I think
That's
it's all
wonderful.
Yeah.
So I did not have quite that experience being a parent, but I did have the experience of on the receiving end of the parents that my parents were lovely,
That's great.
but I'm doing a lot of buts. Today.
It's okay.
And you know
There's
what
always
they
a
say
but.
when you say but, it discounts everything you said
I
for.
do- I
I love
just-
you, but
Oh yeah,
That's
Well,
interesting.
I
That's-
mean,
I love you, but it went really well, but you know.
Right. You were
and-
great. Everything was perfect.
But,
But-
and nobody, even if there's
Yeah.
truth to the whatever came before, what everyone walks away with
Is the but.
Yeah, because that's
the
really
but.
what's on the table.
well,
is
as,
the
as,
butt.
Pee-wee,
Good
as
point.
Pee Wee Herman once said, everyone's got a big butt. Everyone's got a butt, right?
Well,
I
they
don't know.
do.
Anyways,
It's a really good point, though.
The parental thing, my
Yeah.
parents. I'm writing this book. I've been writing this book. Let me say, I started a book
okay.
couple of years ago, maybe almost 10 years ago, and then I would put it down, that I'd pick it up to get back on it, and I would start at the beginning. I said, that's not quite right.
Yeah.
But this time I think I have it, and I started it, again, the third or fourth draft, like completely all over, not a draft.
That's what
starting
writing
all
is.
over.
Yeah.
Right,
I
yep.
mean,
But anyway, when I was in this last time in writing it, something occurred to me. And so I went to my mom and I said, Mom, I have my 3 brothers and,
older
I-
brothers?
2 older, 1
okay.
younger. And I'm like, and you and Dad. And now at this point, and this is to the career, I said, I look at my career so differently now than, at the time I really didn't think about it. It just happened and you just did it. And
Yeah.
at that time, and now I'm looking at it and I kind of feel proud for the first time. It could come to tears.
It's okay. We get some
I'm
tissue
like,
Yeah,
I
ready
could
for you.
really, I feel proud. It's like there's so much material out there now, all this streaming and this and
Yeah.
that, and like everyone's working, and SAG has all these contracts, ultra low budget, modified low
yeah.
budget, regular.
But
You
was
know,
it
it
digital
goes.
waiver? Yeah.
It didn't used to be. It used to be very clean. There was you work, and it was
Yeah.
SAG. Period. That was the
Yep.
beginning and the end.
Yep.
And there were like 3 networks, and there were like studio films, and then independent films.
Very
and a
clear.
couple of
Yep.
independent films got releases on the big screens, and everybody else's films went nowhere. Or
Yeah.
if they were lucky, when there was video, they'd get a video release.
Right.
In other words, there were very few actors working. And to be a woman and to get first billing and star in movies back then, I really didn't get it.
Right.
Did
Right.
not get it. And so, see? So I feel so much joy now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel proud for the first time in my life. This only came in the last year
Oh wow.
in a beautiful way, not
Yeah,
like in
yeah.
a boastful way.
No, of course
but
not.
in a humbled way.
Yeah.
I feel proud that I accomplished that. It was a big accomplishment,
It is.
but
Absolutely.
I never knew it until recently. So I said to my mom, how come my family never said, wow, you're doing another movie? Wow, you're starring in, oh, you're with this. Zippo. No one ever said anything in my family. It was just like, get out of the way, Jill.
Wow.
I don't mean that.
Right.
Like
No,
it was
right.
negative.
I totally know what you're saying.
You know,
now.
they
Yeah.
would just, I was just their little sister or the older sister and just my dad's daughter and my mom's daughter, and everyone was busy in their lives.
Okay.
So nobody ever said anything. And my mother, and this is not to anyone who thinks this is a negative thing that she said, it's not about it being negative. She was just speaking plainly.
Yeah.
Because she's a lovely person. I mean, fantastic. I'm so close with her. And being so close, she was able to tell me plainly, oh, it's not that we weren't proud of you, Jill. We just ignored you.
Wow. That's,
And it was
that's
like-
the butt. That's the butt.
the
There
butt.
was
Yeah.
the butt.
That's her
We
butt.
were
And
proud of
so,
you, but
going back to your thing, Zach, with like the writing of the notes and everything, I was in that same position. My parents never said, oh, like, great job. And,
Yeah,
oh, tell me about your day. And let's see how we can take that to the next place. It was like we all just existed back then. You know,
Yeah.
everyone, parents went to work,
Yep.
kids went to school. You know, you had your softball game after school. They had their baseball game or football. It was just
It's a generational thing, I think. I think this is we're in a new generation now of children who had that experience. I'm of that mindset, righting the wrongs from the things that had happened to me in the
Yes.
past. What could I have done? What would I have loved differently that I did not receive? And this is that gift that I'm giving my son. And what would have happened had they had done that for you in your career
yes.
is another story. I don't know.
yeah.
That is another story, but it's wonderful that you have the consciousness to think about that.
I try.
The way I did it with my boys, I'm trying to pull out the good stuff that I did with my boys.
Yeah.
My boys all the time say to me, Mom, you gave us something that, you know, other parents don't give their sons. I said, what? I did?
What was
What'd I
that?
do?
Yeah.
What'd I do?
Yeah.
And they said, you gave us like this, you know, the emotional stability. You talked to us. You talked to us about
huge.
everything. And at the time we were like, oh God, Mom, you know, because I would talk plainly about things,
Yeah.
you know, and openly, very, very open with
That's
my
important.
boys.
That's
Yeah.
important.
And so there were some subject matters that
Right.
little boys.
Ew, gross,
"Ew,
Mom.
come on."
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, like my youngest son's, because it was my older son that said how you gave us this gift, Mom, of, you know, we talk so freely with people and our emotions. We're, you know, emotionally stable people. And despite all that crying, Mom, you know, but they're very emotionally stable and open to their emotions. And so my younger son, a couple days after my older son said that, he was like, you know, Mom, I was thinking about what Dante said. And it's really true. He's like, when I date women,
Yeah.
they always comment on, you know, that I talk to them and that I ask them about their,
Oh my
here's the
God.
word, their
Their
feelings.
feelings. Yeah.
Here comes the
Yes.
F word. The big F
Yes.
word.
The big F word. They do, and then they could talk about their feelings. And, you know, I took my kids, I made it a point to have them go see musical theater. So we had season tickets to the Amundsen, and
Oh,
I
great.
took them to Broadway shows. And so now my younger son, his girlfriend, she loves musical theater. And she's like, I have a boyfriend that loves musical theater. It's hard to find that at
Yeah.
25.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yes.
If it's not on TikTok or YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
And
but
do they live in LA?
they live in
yeah.
LA.
Okay.
But I can't, there's no competing. You win the parent of the century.
Yeah. Fair. It's fair. Yeah.
But it's interesting what we're talking about is because it is this like emotional intelligence or this emotional maturity
Yeah.
that you've given your boys, which is fantastic.
Well, I tried.
and it really
I think you've done much better.
I don't know about that.
But well, and
doing my best.
Getting back to Zach, it's like Zach's note is almost like a gift to yourself
Mm-hmm.
in a way. right?
It is.
Like
It's
'cause
meditative.
it's healing for you.
It is healing.
It's healing.
Yeah.
It's like, here's all the things, like what you're saying. It's like, what I didn't get, I'm giving it, but I'm also getting it.
Yeah.
And
Extraordinary.
My wife
Right.
says that. She goes, I think this is as much for him or you as it is for
well, it is,
our
because
son."
nobody
Yeah.
would do it otherwise.
No.
Nobody would do it. It wouldn't.
It's a,
it
it's a,
wouldn't.
these are
you
things
just-
that are become family dynamics, and it paves the way. It's like we should leave the world better
I think so.
than we came into it, and
Yeah.
we can't really control anything except and now we can't even control that much what's right there in our life, but we
No.
can do our best
Yeah.
to contribute to it going a great direction.
Yeah, we can do that one thing in a positive emotional way to
Yes.
hopefully create a ripple effect.
Yeah,
And much like you talked about with your family, your parents.
beautifully.
Thanks, I appreciate that. That
Agreed.
generation, not to play on words or movies, but that was then, this is now, in the sense that, sincerely, I mean that
Yeah.
hopefully this enlightened attitude, and maybe it's also a location thing. I don't know if I'm hoping someone in Kansas is doing the same thing I'm doing, but maybe we can spread this ripple effect of other people doing it too. And that's my book. That's my book coming out, Notes for Bodhi. That's my son's name is Bodhi. And this idea, like if we all told each other how
chills.
great we are every day, what a gift that would be. When you wake up in the morning, you're an awesome person. How many of those self-help books or whatever say, write a note to yourself and put it on the on the mirror. You are
Yes.
beautiful. You are special.
Yes.
You are radiant.
You
What
are
if
worthy.
someone said
Yeah.
that to you every single day?
How different. And now you're gonna cry too, I think. Any
Come on,
minute.
come on, Jill. Let's get them going. Waterworks.
But it's almost, we almost take two. Take two.
Take two.
I want to, because it's often people say we, and we're really talking about ourselves. So I'm going to try and say it personally. I almost can't even go there to really think about how different life would be.
Yeah.
And I said it personally, but I don't think it's personal. I think every human being, you can't call yourself a human being and not have that experience of like, what would my life look like had this happened, And that's being said from like some really great parenting. It's not that parents did a bad job. People, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You just,
Right.
right? We don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And it's like we're all on the learning curve. And it's always, I think, ebbing and flowing. And
Oh, totally.
generation to generation, and things come back around. And
For better and worse. But
Yes.
hopefully for more better.
Yeah.
yes, why not? Why not want that instead
Right?
of like going down the pessimistic path?
Well, and you said a year ago that you finally had that moment of like, wow, what a career, right?
Yes.
And we were reflecting on that. We are doing kind of a retrospective pre-episode to this one
Yeah.
where we talk about several movies from your career that we enjoyed, and it was so remarkable to see your body of work and how truly diverse it is. Like you say, horror conventions are where maybe people would find you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many other movies in between, and TV shows and TV appearances. I was watching a clip from Best of Times the other night, and you were talking about, it's tough getting old, or it's scary getting older, or something like that. It's a really sweet monologue that you give.
I know this is silly, but I'm afraid of being alone. Oh, sure, I've got my folks and my friends, but they're not there all the time. I used to have this doll, and then I got this kitten, and I used to talk to her. Next year, I'm going away to college, and I certainly can't bring a doll or a kitten to college, can I? Oh, I know I'll make new friends. Those other times, like when there's a storm outside, and you're all alone, and there's nothing there to hold on to or talk to. It isn't easy getting old.
And I to go from that to jumping forward to like, Stepfather or Popcorn or something like that, it's remarkable, I think. And then when we said in the onset that having you on the show is an honor, it really is, because we admire your whole body of work, not just one particular genre, but the whole thing. You know?
I really appreciate that. You're making me remember what I have forgotten,
Good.
which is
That's our job.
10 years ago, I used to say, when people say horror actress, I said, I didn't really do horror movies in that kind of way.
Not particularly.
And I never thought of myself as that.
Like a scream queen.
No.
Interesting.
No,
Interesting.
I thought
Yeah.
about all the other work, and all the other work I got so close to and didn't get, where I was right there. I mean, that could be a book.
Oh man. So you're
Step
saying you're always kind
number
of focusing
2.
on the stuff that got away.
No,
And
no,
not
no.
what was-
I'm just saying that in the body of my career, and for me, my career, people see the final product and see
Yeah.
a movie, but my career was making the movies, auditioning for things, going and meeting with directors. It was
Right.
like an entire, reading 2 scripts a day.
Right.
That was the career. All of it was the career.
Right. Of
So
course.
in the path of the entire career, there were a lot of films that I didn't get, that I was, number two, or got and sometimes turned down.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, make somebody else's career, and I maybe passed on it, or
Yeah.
Right.
all kinds of
Right.
things, all different avenues. I mean, they're all part of the same tree, different
Right,
branches.
right.
I brought a photo in from my personal collection of from That Was Then, This Is Now, and that's not a particularly large role. However, that role that you play in that film stands out because it is so not what I was used to seeing you in as,
Yeah.
and you're like kind of this bad girl, but also like it's sad too. Her life is not clearly going as it should, and
Yeah.
she's not a villain by standard. It's more just like in general. Can you talk a little bit about That Was Then, This Is Now?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to talk about that movie. Rarely asked about it. And of course, it was the book, it was based on the book by S.E.
Yep.
Hinton, who
Right.
wrote The Outsiders, Rumblefish, I can't recall. Tex, yeah, all
Yep.
these great films. But they had done The Outsiders, and all the boys, of the day
Yeah,
were in that film.
the Brat Pack.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
and more.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and Emilio, Emilio Estevez, as I recall, hopefully my memory is clear on this, when he was doing The Outsiders, he was smart enough and picked up the rights for That Was Then, This Is Now.
That's smart. Yep.
But then Paramount, I think it was the
Yep.
studio that wanted, I don't know why they did not want to do a sequel. I mean, I don't know if it was a competition thing, like, they wanted to probably just stand on its own.
Yeah.
He was a very young writer, one of the first.
Oh my gosh, 25.
Right.
I think,
Yeah,
at the
Right.
he
time.
was
Yeah.
really, really young, and here he was writing a feature film, really the first of all those boys to be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because can I segue for a second?
Please.
Yeah.
But as a result of doing this film, I met a friend of his who he'd been great friends with since they were kids, fellow actor Sean Penn. And
Heard of him.
Sean, as a result of my doing this film, because he, I think, had a similar response to that character that I played. I worked a few times with him after, but never on film. He wanted to get into writing and directing. He wanted to do what Emilio was doing.
Oh,
It's smart.
wild.
And
Yeah.
now he's had great success. So the very
Right.
first thing he did to break into that was a play, and he did it in Venice. We did it in Venice, and he wrote and directed this play. And the reason he did it was so that the community, the Hollywood community, could see him like that, more
Amazing.
than just an actor.
Yeah.
So, and then of course I later did Hurly Burly with him. Do you guys know I did
Yeah.
Hurly
Oh, yeah.
Burly with
Yep.
him? Yeah, I did Hurly Burly with him.
You posted a photo, I believe, on your Instagram of working with Sean.
Yeah,
think.
that was in, I think, probably Hurley
I think it was Hurley Burley. Yeah.
because I don't have pictures from the other thing. But anyway, so in oh God, anyway, that sounded like I was being dismissive. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't say but.
Right. Get going.
In going
There I
back,
go again,
My
getting
Instagram,
dismissed
right.
again.
Anyway.
in going back to this, it was a very special experience for me. It was one of my first films. I was
Yes.
in my agent's office in Studio City, and she it was hard to get the better jobs. When you're an actor, it's hard to get those better ones. And this was a popular casting project in the day. Like every young actor wanted to be a part of this.
Oh yeah.
And so my agent at the time, I remember her saying, they can't cast this part. They're having terrible trouble casting this part.
Really?
They don't want to see you. You know?
They don't want to see you?
Yeah, because they pick and choose who they see. Not
Right.
that they
Yeah,
don't,
it's
but
understandable. Yep.
They have a set pool.
I didn't
that
have
they're-
the body of work yet. It was like very early on in my career. Even though it was a smaller part, it was a great part.
Yeah.
It was a really special
Angela
part.
is your character's name.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Angel.
Angel. Yeah.
And so I was there, or maybe she called me and she said, "Can you come down here? I'm going to try and sneak you in there," because the casting was in the same building. And she said, "Where this, where that?" Okay, I got down there and she got me in, slipped me in there through friendship
Amazing. Your
to
friendship.
read,
That's how it happens.
and I got the part. Like right then, within 20 minutes, I had it. It was like,
You got it. You were offered it in the room.
no, right soon after I walked
Wow.
out. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Soon after I walked out, it
And
was
not a
very
surprise,
fast.
but that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the audition?
I don't remember the audition itself, but I do. I mean, I remember in a shady kind of way. I don't mean shady like that.
Like just shades of
I mean
memories?
shades
Okay.
of memory.
Yeah, like this. Because Hollywood in the 80s and shady.
Very, very shady.
Right.
No, not that.
Oh, that's funny.
God. No, shady
That's a
is
whole
like
other podcast.
shadows.
This
Like
is not
remembering
nostalgia.
Pieces.
Yeah.
Got it.
That would be not nostalgia. That would be
Oh my God.
Right.
Don't
gotcha.
kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
That
I
is so.
blocked out the entire
funny.
audition, you guys, because I walked in, very shady. They walked out, had the part. That's all I know. And then my career began. That's it.
Oh my God, don't
And now
kill
you're
me.
writing the book, and it's all coming back. It's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that wouldn't be good for those people that were in the room.
no. What? But it,
Who knows where those people are now, right?
So I remember more my experience before and after
Okay.
rather than the actual audition. But I had a real strength with walking in and cold reading. That was a strong
Excellent.
strength that I had.
had they already cast like Craig Sheffer, for example?
I think Craig was cast, yeah.
Okay.
Who I adore, by the way.
I mean, the guy's a hunk,
Yeah.
and rewatching it fairly recently was reminded of like how different he looked from that kind of group of guys at the time. His hair looked different. He just had a different vibe to him.
But he also, and I didn't know him very well making the movie. I was better friends with Emilio and spent a little time with Kim at that time. But, and the other cast members, they were more peripheral for me.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them were, and so was Craig. But I got to know him more after the film, just through friends, whatever, Yeah. Your paths keep crossing.
Right.
And I remember later thinking, God, why didn't I wish I'd become better friends with him. Because I think in my whole career of working with people, he would have to be one of the people at the top in terms of people that I liked as human beings, that I just thought were really amazing people.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
He's
That's nice
he's
to hear.
full of heart person.
That's good to hear.
His role is very personal for me because I had a friend in elementary school that came from a broken home, and I remember going to his house specifically and seeing trash all over the front lawn and going in his house, and it was a hoarder house, and his mom was yelling at the other kids in the house, and he always stood up for me as a protector. And then I see this movie that was then, this is now, of this guy who just like, he stands up for his friends, you know, and he's the biggest guy in the group. And it was very relatable, you know, and,
Yeah,
and it made me wonder
interesting.
what happened to Mike Simmons, you know, what happened to that kid? I hope things turned out good for him, you know. But anyways,
the chills.
yeah, but your role, like, again, you know, like Sean saw in as Angela, and Emilio when he's writing the script, there's a lot of heart there to your character, like the backstory of why did she get to this position, her brothers being these thuggish type kids,
Yeah.
you know, and it's all kind of negative stuff. But seeing you in that role, like I said, is so different, you know, because that same year Thunder Alley comes out and you are playing the complete opposite sweetheart character, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, well, that's what I'm used to seeing. But then Angel is like this dark character. Did she really get her hair cut? You know, and that scene clearly you're wearing a wig now. But as a kid, I'm like, they chopped her hair off, you know? And
No.
Yeah, do it all for the
It was
role.
dark.
It was dark.
I remember shooting it, and
Yeah.
I was. It was like I felt so good shooting that scene, like as an actor when you're
Yeah.
just how it went down. And I've only seen it maybe once or twice,
Okay.
but I recall when I saw it, going, that looks good.
does.
That's like, you know, it's like you feel her, but the actual dialogue, or, you know, within the dialogue, it was a monologue. She went
Yeah.
on and on and on. She really goes on. And, you know, as always in film, they,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
get it down there.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was, they cut a lot of for me, acting it was some of my favorite stuff
Oh,
to do. Yeah,
really?
it was quite a bit cut down.
It's a bummer because I think the core message is there. Initially, it
Yes.
sounds like she's hating the world, but then you realize, no, she's
She's in-
afraid of what's going to happen to
And
her.
in a lot of pain about it.
Yeah.
And in a lot of pain. It's only when, you know, in that state that, you know, she lets it go. And then when the boy, you know, Emilio's character, you know, is like, am I allowed to swear?
Of course you
Yeah.
are.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
We
only
encourage
saying
it.
his lines, but if
Yeah.
I remember, he goes, "Fucking bitch, snip."
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really like,
Yeah.
it seemed like rape. It's like
Oh, yeah.
another
Yes.
form
Yes.
of like,
It
I'm
is.
gonna rape you. I'm
is.
gonna
Absolutely.
take
It
this.
is.
This is your beauty. This
Yep.
is your what makes
Yeah.
all of us like, you know, your long, beautiful hair, and you know, bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he's angry at his friend.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah. He's angry at the world.
And no, they didn't cut my hair.
No.
They
Well, now you can see that.
Yeah.
put a snip in, but yeah.
It worked for Pat Benatar, but not that many others, I think, at the time. So,
Legend of Billie Jean.
yeah, Legend of Billie Jean, which came around the next year.
Yeah.
But, anyways,
It was great fun. And then Morgan Freeman was in the movie.
Yep.
it's I think an underappreciated film. The soundtrack is really, really good. You know, and we focus a lot on music on our show as well, and the
Great.
opening has an Oingo Boingo song which just hits, but I'm so happy to hear that film holds a warm place in your heart. You know,
It does. It does. And one of the reason it does is because it was not a horror movie. It
Yeah.
was like and it felt like oh gosh, I just hate to sound so shallow, but it felt like a real part.
I know what you're saying.
100% with
Something
you. Yeah.
you can grit your teeth into. It
Yeah.
wasn't the lead. Wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think in some ways it was almost better. You know, normally
Agreed.
I would get the Kim Delaney role.
Yeah,
Right.
That would be my role. And she was so popular at the time, coming off of All My Children, and I got this darker character. It was fun.
yeah,
Yeah. Right. It's more dynamic. There's a lot more there. And I know what you're saying about it's not like because you're not coming off shallow at all when you
No,
say like
not at
it's
all.
just that there's a formula to the rest of a lot of the movies.
Of
And you
course.
know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting even before you read the script necessarily. Probably you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm good at cold reading. Let's just go in. Let's
Yeah.
you know, do it. And then, of course, it's the fun and the process and everything else. But for the most part, it's probably like you're not getting a monologue about pain and suffering. And,
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're getting
And-
screams.
And so many roles are about in playing the leading character, you're in support of the male lead character.
Right.
Especially in the 80s.
So
Right.
a supporting role like Angel was
Yep.
is a supporting role that stands on its own.
Yeah.
She got
Yep.
to be her own person. And so
Yep.
I liked. But thank you for bringing
Yeah.
up that movie.
It's hey, look again. Thank you for even being open and talking about that while we jumped to you. We were like, hey,
Yeah.
look, you were going to talk about this.
I like it.
But the thing is that I could talk about that film all day because I think it has so many levels. I look at it and go, that's my brother. You know, both
Yes.
characters are my brother.
Yes.
And the anger that teenage boys have, the rage, you know,
Yes.
and then what the abuse that they do to other people. And the effect that they
Mm-hmm.
don't realize. But fortunately, one character does realize towards the end, and that's why he has his change of heart, but the other
Mm-hmm.
one doesn't. You know, it's really complex stuff.
Yeah. It is.
But you were shooting,
Yes.
did you make Thunder Alley at the same time, or was that before that was then This Is Now?
I'm trying to think.
Thunder
the order.
Alley.
I think the order of films
You got a
was.
special burn disc?
Now, there's no DVD available of Thunder Alley.
I feel like
Ah.
you got that from me because I have some of those.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
I had some burned from a laser disc.
Okay.
And people have asked me over the years, you know, yeah, I want, you know, Thunder Alley, like at the shows or whatever.
Yeah.
And so after I burned it for myself, I'm like, oh, I'll just, you know, give them to people when
Yeah.
they ask them,
That's so
you
cool.
know,
That's so
and,
nice.
you know, I don't want to pay for everyone's burn, but,
No.
you know,
It adds up.
I'll,
Yeah.
you know, charge
Yeah.
them shipping.
Absolutely.
Well, you know that this film has a huge following. It really does. There's in fact there's like a fan page devoted to it, which has
Really?
quite a few.
Run by Zach. And
not run
only
by
one member
me.
in it, but yeah.
No, I mean Thunder Alley is one of those films that again it's a canon film with Golan Menachem and
Yeah.
did you have any interactions with Menachem? And,
No.
Okay.
And I later.
Jill, come over here. I want to talk to you about movie.
Yes.
You've got star quality,
Yes.
Jill. You look wonderful.
You said that things are shady. I will show you.
I will show you Death Wish 5.
It's shady.
Santa Claus coming to Cracktown. No, I'm kidding. Look, I got a project for you. It's going to be great.
Oh my God.
You like machine guns?
So you never met those guys. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
never met them, and I didn't. They weren't. I think they were involved with Rich Girl and.
They were involved with Rich Girl,
and
too?
weren't they? And Popcorn was Studio 3. Didn't they? Weren't they?
I think so. Oh, well,
What-
Popcorn and Rich Girl, same studio, right?
Yeah, and
distribution.
I think it was the I don't know. Yeah,
They're not- yeah. Not
were the
canon films.
It wasn't canon, but I think it was the same people.
Okay.
Then they started a new company of sorts that I think they only did those 2 films. Sorry that it was me starring in both of them that put them out of business.
No.
No, just blame Don Michael Paul. I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
He's another sweetheart.
Yeah. He's
Amazing.
we'll get to that in a second. But Thunder Alley,
I think it was like about because I did DC Cab,
yep.
then I did a little film
wild.
called Hot Moves.
Yeah.
Why
Then
did
I-
you make a face? There's a huge following of
There's a
teenage
huge
sex
page
comedies.
with also run by Zach.
It's a MySpace page.
Is DC Cab was DC Cab your first feature?
DC Cab was my first feature.
Yeah,
yes.
83, right?
And
Yeah.
I was so green. This is how green I was to the business or anything about it. I went in and I read for that. I think I read it at Universal.
Mm-hmm.
And Suzanne, she was the second person. It was like down to the
Oh,
2 of us.
amazing.
And we
Wow.
were great friends.
Okay.
And this happened a lot, you know.
Yep. They were seeing each other.
And
at auditions.
so it was down to like the 2 of us, and I got the part. But I was so green. I didn't even know it was a movie. At the time, I didn't get scripts. I was
Oh wow.
just like,
yeah.
you know, coming, it's like arriving in LA, even though I'd grown up here.
Yeah.
But I was so new to the business, and I just got my little 2 or 3 pages of sides and read and got the part, and I didn't ask questions. I was a really raised like nice, sweet Catholic girl, and I just did what I was told to do.
Like a good
I didn't
Catholic
ask-
girl
Yes.
does.
Yes, I didn't ask questions
God.
about it.
I've got a great movie. Catholic
Oh my
girl
God.
with machine gun. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
And it's very funny. Don't stop.
Okay. It'll keep coming. He knows. It
I do.
keeps
You're
coming.
quick.
Well, I'm good.
Very,
Try.
very quick.
DC Cab was like one of my favorite movies growing up, and I rewatched it recently, and I was like, this is so offensive. And like to a level, I mean, you just couldn't make you couldn't make it. You couldn't make it now. You know, like in
well,
that way. You
no,
know.
yeah.
Oh, of course not.
You know, obviously, as we discover with a lot of these movies that are made in the 80s.
Yeah, I think well more than half of them.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, invent like huge, revered films that are not comedies. Things are said and done. You're like, well, that wouldn't go over
Right,
today.
Right?
But how was the experience good? Despite being green, was it a nice first
Well,
launch
yeah.
into?
Then I think at first we were on the lot at Universal for those scenes in the diner.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then the latter part we shot in Washington, D.C., and the whole experience, both locations for me, being away on location and being at Universal, I didn't know about movie making. So
Yeah.
my entrance into movie making was like, wow, movie making's wild.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, look at
Wow.
it,
Yeah.
because there were a bunch of comedians. So I didn't know.
Look at the Barbarian twins.
the
Right.
Barbarians, Bill Maher,
Bill Maher.
Yeah. Gary Busey's
Gary
just hanging
Busey.
around. Right?
Oh,
Mr.
but
T.
they were
Paul
these
Rodriguez,
guys,
right? Paul
Paul
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Love that guy.
And they were like colorful people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were kind of, were loud and
Yeah. Oh,
like,
wild.
starved
and
for attention, maybe?
having-
Rowdy. Yeah.
I mean, and they was just like they were all out doing the other, so it was like the energy
Yeah.
was
Oh
like
boy. Yeah. That's
I had
everyone's
friends like
that.
topping the other.
Had friends like that.
That's a lot.
But I mean, it's
He
like
talked
you're,
it out of me. He slapped it out of me.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
rowdy. He's like, stop one-upping me.
and I think I'm not positive about this, but I think Joel Schumacher, the director,
Yeah.
did not want to tame that.
Hmm.
He had to find a way to harness it. So it wouldn't go off the rails.
Of course.
But he needed that energy from them for
Yeah.
their,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of them working in the cab company.
Absolutely.
So in other words, it was not like other films. But I had no idea
Right.
until I shot other films.
And this is your first foray into that, and you're like, is this the world I'm about to get into?
Yeah, and no other film I ever made was anything like that. But I did not understand that. How could
Oh,
you know?
Right.
I'd never.
Right. Well, you couldn't. That's
you
very
know,
cool, though.
I'd shot a couple of TV shows. I had done The Best of Times.
Best of times.
I had
Crispin
shot.
Glover and Nick Cage.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
And I had shot a Little House, and I think a TJ Hooker, and then DC Cab.
DJ Hooker.
So, and those
Yeah.
shows had been running a long time. Little House.
Absolutely.
And
Oh,
TJ
yeah.
Hooker. So
Absolutely.
they were like machines,
Yeah.
how they were
Right.
ran. And in a fine way.
Yeah.
It's like everyone knew each other so well. Everything ran like clockwork. It
course.
was just smooth and not very problematic.
Your,
Although
your family must have been excited that you were on these shows, though, right? They
I think
must
it
have
was
been.
Come on.
They must have
I
been.
think it was.
Little
I mean,
House is a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Yes.
Did you guys watch the Little House episode?
I haven't watched your episode in a
Did-
while.
Did not.
Okay, so I
Not-
played a blind girl in it. She falls in love with the man on the show, who's the older man. He's with the gray beard, and she's like, my character's like 19 and blind, and
This.
she falls in love. And the whole episode is the two of us. It was a very unusual episode because in Little House, it's always about the characters.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ensemble.
The main
Yeah.
characters on the show, but
Right.
this was, Mr. I think the character's name was Mr. Edwards, and
My math teacher? No. Sorry.
And so, I mean, he was definitely a main character, but
Yeah.
not in the family, the best friend, you
Yeah.
know, the family. And the young girl
Amazing.
who went to the blind school years ago, you know, now as a woman, she's come back. And the whole episode was about their love story.
This is incredible. This is like a very well-known episode.
A lot of people have said, like, over the years, I've had many people say you're in my favorite
Yeah.
all-time episode
Wow.
of Little House. And so I forget what you asked me about.
Were you just
that.
saying about how, like, Dustin had said your parents must have been proud
Oh,
of
yes,
this.
yes.
I was like, what did
So
I
I
ask you?
think
Yes.
people were, especially in that environment,
Yes.
because Little House was more
Right.
That's like a
Everybody watched
common
that.
all-American
household
I-
item.
You went
It's
in
like a
Exactly.
spatula
next
in your
day and talked
kitchen.
about-
Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And I wonder too, because you had your first experience on television was that show Best of Times, which we had brought up
Yeah.
a moment ago. And there's a really funny scene where everyone brings bottles to the
Oh, yeah.
corner store or whatever, and they're trading them in. And there's a whole music montage with
Yeah.
it's pure 80s.
Oh, yeah,
it is
that's-
ridiculous in the best way. I think it's hilarious, but it is so bonkers. And it seemed like that show was overall just like there's all these little vignettes, right,
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's very jokey, jovial,
It's made
lighthearted.
by the same people that did Laugh-In.
Yeah, which it's so obvious with the laugh track
Yeah.
too and everything.
Yeah.
And then to go to a different experience and be like, oh yeah, they're not always going to be this
Yeah.
way, and it's always there are going to be times when
Yeah.
glad you did not work with me then because it would have been very challenging. Look, lay on, do that scene again. It's 10 degrees outside. I don't care. You look better in tank top versus down jacket.
Which I did have that experience that you're talking about in Thunder Alley.
In Thunder
Oh.
Alley. Wait. Like where,
Oh my
like where it's like 10 degrees or something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
in the scene where they fall into the water.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you fall into the water and then pull Roger Wilson's character, I forget his name now, Richie, right?
Richie.
Yeah.
Richie.
Richie.
Into the water with you. That was it like so it was not a hot spring. That's what
It
you
was
say.
so cold. And there was like frost on the ground.
Oh, no, really?
Wow.
Because
Yeah, it was
Arizona can get
cold.
cold.
It was cold.
You-
and
yeah.
and I think it was in February and March. The only reason I
course.
think it was around that time, is because I remember I turned 21 during the filming of it.
Oh.
Amazing.
And and my birthday's in March. That's why I remember that. But it was very cold, and they had a wetsuit on me. But wetsuits, they don't work right away. You're
Right.
No.
Right.
and I just remember
They don't work that
feeling
way.
like, okay, I'm going. I'm not a fainter. But I remember in
no.
that cold water and Roger, like, okay, Jill.
Oh God.
Because it's like you're
Yeah. Right.
it's just a body reaction, a physical reaction
Yeah.
to that freeze.
Right.
Hypothermia sets in at, what is it, 38 degrees, I think, or something like
It
that?
was
Yeah.
Yeah.
cold.
Oh,
my
gosh.
Just like shivering cold.
And it's supposed to be a cute romantic scene, and
Yeah. And I think even in the film, I'm like,
yeah.
really.
Amazing.
And it's like quick. It's a kiss,
Yeah.
once they go.
It's very
kiss,
harmless.
and
You have a
then-
very it's a very harmless movie in
Yeah.
that sense, in some respects.
And I think Joe Cardone, the director,
Yeah.
writer-director, I think we did it pretty. It was not over and over. It was like, okay, how are we going to get this? Okay, get him out.
Right? Okay, so it was a quick take, done.
Yeah. And I mean, they knew we're not going to be able to do this over and over, just falling in the water.
Yeah.
They don't have that amount of clothing and
They don't, but you were freezing in that scene, and I feel like your character got frozen out at the end. We talked about this, that Richie is kind of a dick. He's kind of a dick. He really treats you poorly
He
at the
didn't
end.
deserve you.
Did not deserve you.
thank you.
He didn't deserve you.
I'm like, that's
It
great.
made me so angry. Like it's so hard to, like I can't root for Richie. He sucks. He's so mean.
Did you like the movie?
I love the movie.
Did you like the music?
I
'Cause
love
if
the
you
music.
Guys
The
are
music is
curious-
fantastic. And
No, it's a great movie, but it's just like, Richie, come on.
Clancy
Like,
Brown's
why
really
is he?
good at it.
Yeah, you're doing Beth wrong.
I understand. I feel like that was maybe a flaw of the writing, perhaps, because
Yeah, no, it's not right.
With how he deals with her.
how he deals with you or your character at the end. Yeah.
You mean he always just so dismissive?
He just like
of her.
ghosts you,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah, he
Before
does.
ghosting was the term.
You
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
everything you can to assure him and to make him feel good.
Right.
But this is unfortunately something that people in relationships do.
He's so
There's-
whiny. It's horrible.
you know, you're there for him. You tell him you
Yeah.
love him, and he's like, yeah, you know, swears at you, I think, and goes and sulks for the next
Yeah.
5 minutes until
Yeah.
he gets on stage and
He's,
performs the
he
song.
gets what is the term? He's self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Like so
It's just like-
self-indulgent that nothing else exists. It's really kind
Right.
of egotistical.
It's kind of abusive because he's almost like, pump me up, make me feel good, but also I'm going to go and,
yeah.
ignore you and then sleep with this 90-year-old prostitute.
Yeah,
right?
what an asshole.
Yeah, terrible.
Dude,
Take
I mean-
that, Thunder Alley. Snap it over. Set it on fire.
Everyone can have the DVDs. No,
In truth, I loved making that movie. I
think it's a really well done film.
I love see the films you guys
It
were
is.
talking about were my favorite jobs to do.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
great.
really like
Awesome.
the scary. I do like the scary stuff,
Well, we'll get to that later.
but I loved these things. I mean, I loved making them, and I loved playing that character. And
Were you was your character more fleshed out on paper? Do you
I
recall?
don't. The way I'm going to say this is generational.
Okay.
Hey, right.
I'm
Yeah.
stealing your word.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
This was a continued, for me, problem. And that is the supporting characters in the scripts. They all read. I read 2 a day for years. And it was rare to find that script that read differently
Yeah.
because the characters I hated that the female characters are always written in a way which is a sign, and I love Joe Cardone. He's done a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
But
But here's the but.
here's the but. And it does discount
But-
everything is
No,
almost
it
said
doesn't.
before.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Okay, in addition,
Oh, I like this.
it's a sign of younger writing,
Yeah.
somebody that's newer to writing.
Yeah.
When the way they move along the main character, because one character starts in one place and they end in another place, and in that they have growth, like the way you were talking about Craig Sheffer's character, and that was then, this is now. There's always a central character that has that
Right.
growth thing that they go through. They start in one, they end in someplace else. So that was the idea here, obviously, in Thunder Alley for the leading character of Richie. And so the female lines are set to let him talk,
Yeah.
let him have the information. So a lot of female lines at the time are questions. They ask questions so that the
Interesting.
leading
Yeah.
character can
Right.
answer them
Right.
and move the story along. Where in really good writing, it shouldn't be done in the dialogue.
No.
It should be done with the behavior of the human
Excellent point.
beings.
Yep.
Should be done with the behavior of the human beings, and the lines are supporting sometimes what's not being said, but it is the actual behavior of the characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's, in my humble opinion, simply said, better writing.
Well,
The writing is troublesome, but it was not just troublesome. The female characters in Thunder Alley, it was generational at
Yeah,
that
that
time.
makes sense.
I mean, I'm out of the business now, so to speak. Although I am.
Although you're
shooting
shooting a
something
movie
now.
right now.
exclusive.
I am doing something now, starring in a movie right now. I'm shooting. But having said that, I've, left the business.
Yeah.
And I can't really speak to the scripts that are out there now, but I
Yeah.
can speak as an expert
No, you are.
on scripts of the past.
Yeah.
You are.
And this was problematic for female characters.
Yeah, and I think overall, I'm just I'm speculating, but I think it's probably pretty factual. This movie, the focus is on the music. It's not necessarily on the overall story because it has template of a very typical kind. It's a very small. It's a very standard plot, right? Small town kid with this amazing talent overcomes the odds and becomes a rock star or whatever. Blah 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 blah. But the music is really the highlight of this movie. Overall,
Yes, it is.
And so
Yeah.
and I think where the love comes out of it is and I think a lot of our nostalgic love comes out of these moments where it's like little snapshots from these films that stand out to us versus the overall film,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
So people go, "Oh, I really love that movie where that guy blah 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 blah." But maybe the movie's not that great in the scope, but it's that one scene that stands out to them, holds on to it forever, right? And I think there are moments like that in Thunder Alley.
Did you like the movie?
Oh yeah. I loved it. I really do, and I like it from like I want to know your father is abusive to you in that film, which kind of gets dismissed as well, and doesn't really get resolved as it should. So there's like loose ends that never get fixed, right? I'm able to let that go and look at the film and go, but overall, I really dig.
That's very big of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, to be able to let that go.
Look, I can look at the movie and say, this is not very good.
I can let that go.
It's going to make $10 million opening weekend.
very
And it's only going to cost $800 million to make. So,
That's so, yeah, don't.
no, but I think what I love about it is the romantic love story. You are highlighted in this film in a way like when you come on screen in that club and you're so sweet and your character and I think personally like every teenage kid wanted that when they were a kid. I want to meet that girl who just like we could talk about whatever or talk about nothing.
You're so funny.
And he's so
I
kind
could
of
ignore her and treat her badly.
well
That's what I want.
well I feel like he's this character who's like there's nothing going on there. He's this farm town boy. At the end,
I'm not going to survive this.
Oh my god.
hey, as long as she's got my ice cream at the Foster Freeze, I'm good.
Oh my god. And it's like he just never and he doesn't make any choices. It's like he's just like everyone's just like coming to him like, "We need you, Richie." And then they got to give him a pump up speech and it's just like, "Stop it. I've seen enough."
His buddy Donnie is Donnie is great.
Oh, I love, and
Yeah.
didn't he's a good,
Scott
he was
McGinnis.
a good actor.
Scott
Like,
McGinnis is really good.
I know, and you know who else I really liked him, and I think he sang great was Leif.
He's
Yes,
great, and I love
yes.
his dance moves. I'm
Yes.
not gonna lie.
I know,
I'm like, I want.
me too.
I'm gonna practice those dance moves.
Yep.
By the way, Craig Sheffer has great dance moves, and that was then, this is now as well. And I'm like, see, white guys can dance. White guys are very awkward, but they can dance.
Yeah.
No, Leif, rest in peace, is great as well. Yeah,
Did he die?
yeah. Last year, I think.
Did he die?
Yeah.
No,
Leif.
No.
Yeah, he.
I
died.
don't think so.
Didn't he?
Okay, you're freaking me
And now
out.
I'm having deja vu because I feel like
Please don't say
I
that.
feel-
No. Sorry.
no. Zach loves
Cutting.
to
Cutting.
do that.
Cut.
No, we're leaving that in because you didn't we just talk about this too? And you said rest in peace, and I was like, "Are you sure?" Or was that someone else?
Sorry.
No, I just had a conversation. 'Cause I'm having weird deja vu because I just had a conversation with somebody who was like,
I was just talking about him. Sorry.
"You were just talking about him, rest in peace,"
Oh yeah, in that regard.
on a recorded
No,
episode or
no,
something.
no.
Okay, all right. Anyway, yeah, no,
Awkward.
he's
sorry.
he's alive.
Yeah.
Well, he is great. He is great.
Sorry to
It's
make you feel
I was like, oh my
heartbreak.
god, how could I not know this?
right.
No,
Well, he's had a lot of
he's had
issues, but been
challenges.
very public.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
but in this, he stands out.
He really does, and he's good in it.
And his character, like that whole thing, doesn't get resolved because at one moment he's like, he's a dick, but he's still in the band.
And he does. He plays that character so well.
I
what a
think he
dick
does. Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
thought he was really good.
Do
I
you
thought
like?
Scott was
So
good.
you're
He's great.
overall you like Thunder Alley.
He kicks ass.
I do, and I had an interesting experience. Must be almost 10 years ago. I went into, the convention
Yeah.
person I was signed with at the time said, "Oh, there's this store on Hollywood Boulevard. This is where you go, and they have a lot of slides from your films." I'm
Was it
like,
the Hollywood Book and Poster Company?
I think it was.
That's where I got that photo from, by the way.
Yeah, I think it was. And he's got.
Was
like
it the Hollywood Book and Culture? Oh my
No,
god,
it's not there anymore.
this came from there. This came from there. Okay.
Eric Caden. Yeah.
I
Eric
think
Caden.
that's who it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
He did pass away, by the way. He passed away.
You sure?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you got
Positive.
confirmation?
Yep.
I love that you were just having like a conversation about like how sad you were that maybe Luke Garrett had died
Yep,
like
I did.
2 days ago.
Because I was. Yep.
Who were you
That's
talking
very
to? Because you
interesting.
probably call them up and let them know
Let
you're wrong.
No, you were wrong.
Somebody could be really sad right now based on the conversation you had 2 days ago.
My mom.
You were talking to your mom?
No,
about?
I wasn't.
Oh,
Anyway, sorry. You're talking
right,
about.
then it's fine.
So I was there, and he goes, he shared with me. I think it was him or somebody at the store. But I think it was who you said,
Eric Caden, yeah.
If that's who it is. Yeah,
Larger
from the store.
guy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But somebody had been, I think it was, he had gone to something about Canon films, and Quentin Tarantino was speaking.
Because
And
he owns the New Beverly, and they would do the screenings there.
Oh.
Hollywood Book and Poster Company would.
Okay, so all I know is that I was told that day when I went in to get my little slides and new pictures for conventions was that, I just heard Quentin Tarantino 2 days ago talk about Thunder Alley. And I was like, Quentin Tarantino was talking about Thunder Alley. They said, yeah, he was talking about his love of canon films.
Yes.
And he talked about his 3 favorite canon films,
wow.
and Thunder Alley was number
Wow.
3.
Wow.
That kind of impressive,
I-
right?
That's cool.
But not surprising.
Did you tell your mom?
I told my mom
Yeah.
and my dad.
And then they go,
That's impressive.
he's
Can't
great.
ignore that.
Oh, they don't pay attention
No.
to that stuff. They're like, oh,
Right.
Okay, great.
Great. Yeah.
Let's go shopping.
Right. That's amazing.
To jump ahead quite a bit to
Mm-hmm.
Rich Girl, to go from one club movie to another club
Yeah.
movie. I love Rich Girl, and to talk about the music, I love the music in that too. That film, to me, is your performance in that is very dynamic, and you have a lot more range in that film. Can you talk a little bit about Rich Girl? Because I know you said, this studio made 2 movies that both bombed, and I starred in both of them. I'm sorry, it was my fault. I don't agree with that.
Well, it was just
I love Rich
weird
Girl.
because Studio 3 was a new releasing company. What do you
Yeah.
call those? And
Distributor.
distribution.
Yeah.
Distribution companies. And I wasn't am not that aware of exactly the names, but I have a general idea, and I think it was Menachem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was one of the people involved in
Okay.
that. But I could have that wrong, but it's somebody involved with, that owned Canon.
Yeah.
And both the films were produced independently, Popcorn and Rich Girl.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to be the leading character in both those 2 films.
Oh, wow.
And they picked up those 2 films, so I guess they had faith in me. I would have to say, it seems a lot.
Right.
They probably hate me now. That little bitch, Jill Schoelen.
No.
No, I'm not saying that.
Come
but
on.
it's like she's not what we thought she was, because those movies bombed. I mean, especially Rich Girl. It just didn't, take. But people that have seen it, they like it. So many people that have
It's
seen
got
it.
its moment, its flaws, but you know what? Overall, I think the message is really cool. I think the storyline, it's the girl who wants to get away from her terrible dad, by the way. 7 months after your mom passes away, he's, shacking up with some younger, like.
Paul was the dad, right?
yep.
Paul Gleason. Okay, my memory.
Yeah, no, he's
Sometimes
great.
It's not so good
No.
these days.
Yep.
But yes.
You can say rest in peace for Paul.
Yes,
can
we
say that for
can,
Paul.
and we should.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I worked with him twice on
Amazing actor.
on
got-
Rich Girl, and then again Zach. That's my son.
Oh.
Zachariah. And then again I worked with him on what is the name of that? There Goes My Baby.
Yeah.
The movie that nobody saw. There's that
Pull out the
movie
still-
was driven
where's that?
around
Is that in the
music.
pile?
I don't
There
know.
Goes My
I
Baby?
have Rich Girl here in cutting class and whatever. But
What
So-
are the other 2?
Stepfather
Stepfather.
and Popcorn.
Oh, nice.
So it was fun. I mean, doing Rich Girl, but I think
You sang in it,
yeah,
like legit sing.
I did sing in it.
So it's funny
I
because
don't think Cherie what's her name? Cherie Curry.
Yeah, yep.
I don't think she liked me
from the
very.
Runaways.
She, was the real deal with a rocker. So
I mean, she's a
probably
legit rocker, yeah.
having some actress singing rock, she probably wanted to like jump off a bridge.
Well, her send-off in the film is kind of funny because she like flubs the lines in a song and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys," and then just walks off stage and never see her again. You know.
I know, it's kind of weird. But it's interesting, because I like these little trivia bits. But in the all-girl, I think it was no, it wasn't an
there was an
all-girl.
all-female band. Yeah,
Okay, so there was an all-girl band, and
forget
there
the
was
name,
a
but-
girl in it,
Precious Metal. maybe?
Janet, and she had like really, really curly hair, and she played the guitar, and she's rocking out. That is the same girl as in The Best of Times.
Oh, really?
Plays
Weird.
the guitar in the little
No
young
way.
girl.
What?
Who was like always wanting to,
that's
like
cool.
in throughout the whole thing, she's like, "Come on, guys, and give me a chance to play.
Come on,
Come on,
guys."
guys!" And they always make her carry the equipment,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
finally at the end of
That's so
the best
funny.
of times, she gets to play the guitar.
What? Wow.
And she was
amazing.
like 14
That's wild.
at the time,
Yeah.
and like
That's amazing.
years later, being on the set of Rich Girl, and she's like, "Jill." And it's like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
That's fun.
But Cherie Curry obviously is the real deal and deserves a lot of her accolades that she has.
Hey,
But so
yeah.
she probably wasn't so happy that I sang, well, let's get a real rocker in here.
I mean, I get that, but it's like this is the story.
Yeah.
This is the plot, you know.
Yeah.
Like, but then I love how if you look up the fun facts, it says Don Michael Paul sang, and I'm like, did he really? And then there is one scene where he does start to sing, and I'm like, that's his voice for sure because it's
It is?
off key.
Really?
Like, well, I think
You're
you're
like, I was there. I don't think.
you're at a
I
well,
don't
no,
remember him
it's-
singing.
you're at a piano
Yeah.
or something, but
Yeah.
overall, the guy who did sing is like sang with Yngwie Malmsteen, and
Yeah.
has a
a-
metal singer.
And is an amazing singer.
Yes.
Fabulous singer.
Yeah. But when you're on set and you're doing those scenes, you were legit singing in those.
Yeah, I
stage.
sang because I went and did all the pre-records
Yeah.
because that's, how you do it or did it back then.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still do it that way.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
I think in the long run you
not
can
Motley Crue or
sync
something.
everything
Right.
up much better
Right.
and you can control things, and it's probably cheaper to do it that
Right,
way.
it-
Go in
yes.
and do
Right.
the pre-record and
Right.
then just sing to the playback.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
day in the studio.
Because your coverage would have to be much more extensive, and if you're somebody who's singing it a little differently, or
But it's what most people do not know how to lip sync even to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that I have a couple of skills, and I would say that's one of them. That's very,
cold
You know,
reading,
yeah.
lip syncing,
Here's another one: looping.
looping.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah,
ADR.
and I don't loop the way other people do it.
How
Like
do you
other
loop?
people, they go 1, 2, and then speak on that
The beeps.
third beep. Yeah, the fake third beep.
Yeah.
And they have to and they can't get it right. And I
Yeah.
think directors are traumatized. I gotta
Right.
loop. I'm going to
Ah,
get them to
yeah.
sound real and blah 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 blah. But for me, and they watch to match. I don't do that. For a lot of it, most of my looping sessions, I close my eyes, and they're like, "Well, how do you get it so right on?" Because I listen to because most
I
of
love
the
it.
time they're looping not to change the performance. It's like uncontrollable sound
Right.
events
Right.
out there, and so
Yeah.
you
The
they
gardener was leaf blowing or something. right?
something
happened.
rain,
Yeah.
something. So they need
Right.
they need
somebody caught on something else. We need this clean.
they just need
yeah.
right to fix
Yeah.
the sound. So they're not trying to change for the most part. I mean, 99.9% of the time they're not changing the performance. At least not in my case. Although a couple of times we have, but it's so rare. But so I would listen to how I said it, and I thought of it like I heard it just like music. I would hear the cadence,
Yeah.
all I had to do was hear it and copy it. Hear it, copy it. And so I would close my
Wow.
eyes
That's awesome.
and just go along with that, and then it worked out perfectly.
Amazing.
Rather than
Right.
Yeah, and not
Yeah.
to throw Don
Yeah.
Michael Paul under the bus, but there are times when he's doing that in the club, and I'm like,
Yeah.
he's not singing
Right.
this. That's not his voice.
And it's not a good match. It wasn't a
No.
good match. But it really hard to get the good match
Yeah.
in picking those stuff as a director and the editor in the editing
sure.
room. Very hard to pick the stuff if the person didn't sync up. Now in Phantom of the Opera,
Yes.
they had pre-done all the music probably months before I was ever hired. And opera is not really something I sing. But although I think I could have sung that part if I had
Sure.
a long time before and got my voice in that kind of shape. Never as good as the girl that sang it, but that's another point. But, you know, I did lip syncing and I thought it worked. You know,
Yeah.
it was like right on. But one of the reasons it worked is because I sang it while we were filming.
there you go.
I just sang along with the character.
Okay.
Yep.
And, you know, cut off when she cut off, came in when she came in. And then when I got tired, I just dropped it an octave
Okay.
and sang it, you know, an octave lower.
That's good.
But, you know, you're really singing it so it comes across.
Right,
like
because you
she's
need the
singing.
physicality of
Yes.
in the rest of your body.
That's right. The
also.
breath.
Yes.
When
Yes.
they're-
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the
Yeah.
mouth.
No. The lungs are filling up with air in appropriate ways. Yeah.
But really quick,
Mm-hmm.
so you worked with Sean Kanan in Rich Girl. By the way, we brought that up to him and kind of a gotcha moment where we're like, let's talk about Rich Girl. He's like, wait, what do you mean? And there was a line in that movie where he's fighting Don Michael Paul's character,
Yeah.
and someone yells out, "No mercy." Give him no mercy, which
Oh,
I
I
thought,
did.
which is before he did Karate Kid 3, right after he did Karate Kid 3, I think. Anyways, I thought that was kind of
that's right.
interesting.
He did do that.
And he played a Cobra
movie.
Kai member in that, so you know,
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was kind of cool.
He's kind of hot.
He's a hunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
He worked
He's
with a lot
a
of hunks.
hottie. Is
but-
that okay to
Yes.
say? Is that
I think it's
politically
fine.
correct?
Courage.
I think it's fine.
Yes.
You know, on a not a somber note, but you work with Tom Villard in
Yes.
Popcorn.
Right. Good point. We do need to talk about popcorn.
And Tom Villard, I think for those people that don't know, you know, he's in One Crazy Summer. I think a lot of people remember him from that.
And the Stork Brothers.
Yeah, the Stork Brothers. He plays such a menacing, complex character. But again, a character I think that has a lot more heart than, like, it's understandable why, for the motivation that he has in that film. And I know you came onto that film after they had a lead already and they replaced her, right? They made the wise choice, by the way, because I think Popcorn. I know the
unless it was Suzanne. Was it Suzanne that they replaced?
No,
it
it
was
wasn't Sue.
it's the daughter from Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's who it was.
okay.
So, but they recently screened Popcorn at the Los Feliz 3 Cinematic Void.
I was there.
Which you were there for, yeah. And I'm so glad that it got to get shown on screen again. I've seen it on screen as well. What a great! I think it's a very underrated film. Love this film. Can you talk about your experience with Popcorn?
Yes, I mean you just did.
Okay.
You did a great job.
Then let's move on.
Let's move on to the next segment.
No.
now.
It was
you.
exactly as you said. They were well into the filming of it,
Yeah.
and
They'd already shot the scenes with Ray Walston, right?
Oh, I never met him.
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
figured.
in the
Wow.
scene
Okay.
with them, and
Yeah.
and I love talking. See, I always when I was at that theater the other day or a month ago,
About a month
whenever
ago,
it
yeah.
was, yeah.
Right around the
I-
time of your birthday, actually. So,
Yes,
yeah.
and I talked about this part of it that's never talked about. People are so interested in the backstory of this film, like, and it is a very interesting backstory. There's not a lot of movies that are shot halfway into them, and the leading character is replaced, and the director is replaced.
Yes, because Alan Ormsby was
was-
the original
yes.
of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things
Right,
and
and
Death Dream.
he doesn't want. I mean, he's probably like does not like that everyone knows that now because they change his name on the titles. You know, so it doesn't say his name anywhere on the
unfortunately,
film. There's
yeah.
no, and he and Bob Clark were, I think they were like practically best friends
They worked together all the time.
prior to this movie, and they blew up. But Alan, I was
bummer.
told that Alan wanted me to play the role.
Okay.
Bob wanted the girl they hired. Then it didn't work out. and they fired her, and then they I came into the movie,
Yeah.
but I never worked with Alan. I was told he was fired. He might have quit, to save
wow.
face. They
Yeah.
maybe said
Yeah.
fired. Who knows what happened?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know I walked into a glum situation
Oh,
Bummer.
wow.
and it was
Here,
like,
guys, first day.
imagine from a humanity point of view, all of these actors had become very good friends with this sweet little young girl who got the role. And they're all friends. It was
Yeah.
heartbreaking for them that she was let go of the film. Heartbreaking for her. Apparently, which I only recently found out about, literally in the last couple
Wow.
months, she became super good friends with one of the other girls, actresses. And that actress, I guess, flew with her back to, because we shot it in Jamaica, flew with
Yeah.
her back to the States to get her back. Because, rightfully so, she was upset.
How much had they shot? when you-
Half.
They shot half the movie and
About
you came in.
half, yeah.
What was going
Yeah.
on?
Right?
Wow.
And then the money.
Wow.
And then, okay, so I love all this stuff because, how it works,
Of
like
course,
the
yeah.
filmmaking, because when we had to shoot the scenes, they didn't reshoot all of them. They only reshot the pieces that I had to be in. So, they wouldn't redo
They
the
just
whole
cut you in,
scenes.
try to match the scene as much
They
as possible, and
me
cut you in.
That's right.
That
Which-
So a lot
it's
of
obvious,
times, it is.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is too.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
You're
I've
welcome.
never
We're
met
honest. Yeah.
anybody who has ever said that.
Really?
And also the looping.
And they're lying.
And speaking of looping,
Yeah.
the looping on that, love the Jamaican crew. Fabulous.
Yeah.
But they just weren't in the field of sound. And
Yeah.
we had to redo all of the sound on the movie. I don't think,
That is crazy.
if there's an organic line in there, it's probably 5% of the lines.
Wow.
I was in a looping
What?
room for a week in Toronto.
Were your eyes closed?
Re-looping the whole thing, a lot of it.
Wow.
But it drives me crazy when I see some of the lines, especially in the first scene.
Yeah.
Just the sound isn't right. That first scene where she comes into the kitchen in the morning.
Yeah.
This could be better, a little bit better. The how syncing it
Oh,
up.
that's
Yeah, that's how the film feels to me. It feels like the first half is very much like that, and the second half is where it really starts to pick up, and you feel like the stories really come together, and they're just the parts are a little bit more tightened.
That's interesting because I don't think they didn't shoot
They
a
didn't shoot
lot
it
of
in
the
order.
later part.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of the later part was once I was there.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense then.
Yeah.
A lot of the later part was when you were actually there because it does feel a little more homogenous and just organic.
But it always drove me crazy in the movie. It drove me crazy because I like to come from an organic place, a real
Yeah,
place, and it
yeah.
drove me crazy at the end of the movie. I can't
Yes.
watch it. That she's supposedly in this thing,
Yeah. The head
but
cast.
you could see inches around me,
Yeah.
and she's supposed to not be able. He drugged her, yet she can go, help me.
Well, he drugged your bottom half, I guess. I don't know.
yeah,
don't
if you
know.
couldn't move your arms in there, yeah.
It
Like,
just
'cause-
didn't make. They should have really had her completely out of it, where she's just out of it.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more compelling rather than they're going.
I agree.
Help me, help! It's real. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember what she's saying,
I
but
think
it
you're
just missed a moment of truth. And
Totally.
based in reality. It's like if she's drugged, and then a second later she's like, "Oh, Mom,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom's in her body cast. You think she would have atrophied at that point too, by the way. But,
yeah,
you
there
know,
just didn't
over the course of
have
a day.
there was just where I think other movies, can I point out another movie I did
Please.
that was scary
Yeah.
that is often talked about as an underrated film is When a Stranger Calls Back.
Yes, for sure.
And
Carol Kane. Yep.
yes, and I think it is a very, very underrated film.
Yeah, I agree.
That
Holds up.
film, I think it holds up because it's all based in a reality of something
Right.
that may be far fetched,
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances of these things happening?
Again.
But
Yeah.
it's based in a reality of like being at home alone in a strange
We've all been there.
place.
We've all been
It's
there.
right. And
Yeah.
feeling, is that someone, is there somebody just outside?
Yeah.
You know, so, but Popcorn, it didn't make sense, that ending.
No.
But it doesn't seem to, the fans love it.
I think personally they love it from, again, the nostalgia place. And there's a lot of people in the film that you recognize. Oh, Kelly Jo Minter, you know,
Yeah.
I love her too. And
Love her.
You know, and Roberts,
Tony Roberts.
Tony Roberts. Oh my gosh, Tony Roberts, you know, that's so
Annie
cool,
Hall,
right? Yeah,
Annie
that's a big
Woody
deal,
Allen.
right? And then the idea of going to the
E.T.'s
movies.
mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Dee
E.T.'s
Wallace,
mom.
Dee Wallace, of course. But Tom Villard, this maybe was his last movie or one of his last projects he's
Probably.
worked on. And he turns in such a star-making performance in this film. I think he's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like his scenes with you specifically when he's in the full makeup and kind of describing what happened to him and that backstory, which obviously it's got its moments where like that didn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. But he's so compelling, and to know what he was probably going through internally and knowing that this is it, you know, and
And
there's,
he had to, I'm sure he probably had to hide it.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
But there's a
I
s-
don't think anyone.
There's a scene where one of the classmates is like confesses her love
Oh
of
yeah,
him.
that I love that.
I love that scene too.
Yeah.
And he
love
gets so
it.
pissed off because you know why he's pissed off as the character,
Yeah.
you know. But then you're like, man, but knowing the backstory now, it's even more intense.
I know, and you know, the thing when I think about Tom is and the role that he played in Popcorn is his commitment
yeah.
to that
Yeah.
character and their pain, his
Yeah.
anger and he was sad. But he
Yeah.
couldn't stick with sad. He had to have his anger and revenge play out.
Right.
And I apologize for my phone ringing.
It's okay.
No.
Did want to ask
You-
you about your current project and
Yeah.
just if you could tell us what you're able to
I
tell
can't.
us. You can't.
Can't.
NDAs, all this.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, you know how it is now.
I do know how it is. Oh,
But
always,
I can
everything.
tell you that it's my second film that I've done. And they both, I can tell you this part,
Second films since
recently
since
out of
the resurgence.
I would call it feels like all brand new.
Yes.
you
We're
know?
talking
love
like
that.
20 some odd years now.
Yeah, I was on a film that I've never seen, and I have a feeling I won't ever want to see it, called Not Again. I lived in Encino, in the hills of Encino, and we were working down near the Santa Monica airport. We were going to film. And, you know, 405.
Yep.
It's got to be 405 or the Sepulveda Pass.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
And I get in my car to go to work, and it's like the worst traffic ever. Now, I was one of the first people, like the second you could put a cell phone in your car before people were walking around with them, you know, I had the hardwire cell
yeah.
phone. So I was able to call, you know, and I don't know what's wrong with this traffic.
Yeah.
OJ.
Oh.
Amazing.
It was the day of that thing. so-
Wow.
But I was pregnant and did not know it yet. Right after filming it, I only worked a couple days on it, and then right after I found out I was pregnant, that's the day I made the phone call to my agents
What a trip.
and said
Okay.
I was never going to work again. And my son
I'm out.
turned.
I'm out.
Yes.
I'm out. Okay.
And so that OJ thing was 29 years ago. Just coming up on 29 years. My son was born 9 months later, and the day
Wow.
that I found out I was pregnant, which was right after the filming of this, is when I quit, because this is the day I found out I was pregnant with Dante.
Wow.
I left the
Oh,
business.
Dante.
Dante, baby
Amazing.
Dante.
So here's the thing. You're going to come back on the show to talk when what you're working on gets released and you're able to talk about it. That's when you come on the show.
Yes, and it's so exciting. So it has been that long, almost 29 years, you
Amazing.
guys,
So amazing.
since I've
so
been in front of a camera.
huge
Well,
congrats.
I'm
So
going to
happy
tell
for
you, you talk about, to me, this is a time capsule moment. You're the same as you were on screen back in the day as you are now. Just a lovely
Thank
person.
you.
It's an honor to have you on our
Oh,
show.
thank you so much.
We feel
Truly.
lucky to have
I
you.
feel bad though. See, I'm gonna walk away from here and go, "Oh, I talk too much." Why
Nope.
do you talk so much?
Nope.
Jill, stop talking
I mean, it's a
so
it's a
much.
podcast.
No, it's
That
a
is
podcast.
what
That's
that
what
is
people do. They
what-
listen to it.
yeah.
They'll watch it on YouTube. They'll be
They
both,
don't want to hear us talk.
I'm,
No.
I'm serious.
they- a little bit.
When I brought up the fiance,
Mm-hmm.
he said to me this morning, he goes, "Jill, is there an off button?"
No. No.
Yikes!
He's like, "You're the Energizer Bunny." But at least with the Energizer Bunny, there's like a little case and you can
Oh
take out the
my
batteries.
God.
He goes, "You're the Energizer Bunny without it needing batteries."
but,
Thank you, Jill.
Okay,
but thank you, Jill.
guys.
It's been great.
Do we
Thanks.
take these off now?
Yeah.
Or you can try and wear them to the car. I think it'll be awkward, but.